Right, the time is here. This is like the quickest I've been with a new guest character DLC. I know, guys. Hold on. It might seem a little soon, but I really think that I've actually cracked like T-1000 with Shujinko, and Shujinko might actually be like he has a really good cameo with him. Maybe not the best, but Shujinko I still think like with every other character I play is the most fun with T-1000. And there's some actually crazy stuff you can do with this team, not just with combo damage, but with just pure pressure, especially in a corner. We'll get to that soon. But my god, this team is actually insanely good. Let's get on to some basics. And again, if you really, with all my tutorial videos, if you just want to see the combos, you don't really care for any explanations, I am going to be going over a lot of pressure tools as well that I'm probably not going to cover in the combo video one. So just maybe you want to stick around to hear about that because the pressure in the corner is really freaking good. But anyway, let's just move on with the video. Move the timestamp here if you don't really care with all the explanations. But yeah, let's just get into it. Alright, so we could just start off talking about some basic combos. The main punish thing the main punish string you want to actually try and do is 3-2-1. This is probably your best, like, combo starter in general. It's pretty quick, it has a good amount of distance, it is a high so they can't duck it. At our range though, I think the best tools you can use are probably forward 1, which is an okay mid. I think you can still get whiff punish with it quite a lot because it does lunge you forward. So standing 2 is going to be like I think one of the better ones, just because it does reach a pretty long way, and you can get a really long micro duck, like with like Scorpion Spear or even like Melina's like size highs. You can get a pretty decent like micro duck with him. So all of these starters are pretty much going to be relatively the same because they're all going to lead to this, and they all combo with it. So we're just going to do this for like the combo video, but just know that every single button is going to be able to combo into this. Okay, starting with a basic combo, there's a few routes you can take. You could go immediately in the crumple stun, like do a hit immediately in the crumple stun. And I found the best way, if you do land a crumple stun, you could do a charge on back 2. And that's an easy one to do. You can actually get a little more if you so desire. It's a little trickier to land. I don't know if I'm going to be able to land it first try when I get the chance. Almost, but it does about 40% if you do land one of those. However, a much better option, and probably just ignore that first combo to begin with, is going to be one of these. And it does like 2% more. So pretty much going into the puddle punch, jump forward 2, crumple stun, and then an ender like that. It's pretty much going to land all the time, even if you're all the way in like the left. Wrong one. You do have to do a quick forward dash after that into the crumple stun. And that one did drop, but that's because I didn't do... The thing you gotta remember is you kind of have to do it. Like, getting that jump in 4-2 after the crumple stun. Let me explain it real quick. Hold on. Jump in 4-2. Forward dash. Forward 2 into crumple stun, right? So I'm doing a forward dash after this jump 4-2. Like a micro forward dash. Otherwise, you're gonna drop it pretty easily. And then, you gotta, like, time the jump in a little, like, as you're lower to the ground is what you want to try and get. You want to try and, like, when you get that crumple stun, right, you're jumping, if you do it at, like, max peak, if I was, like, on the left, it probably would have dropped, like it did the first time I did it, but because I was in the corner, it's much easier to get, but you want to try and, like, time it to be, like, as low to the ground as possible, so that it can just land easier. It doesn't push them as far away. Now, if you really wanted to apply more pressure, right, what you could also do, instead of going for the ender, which does do a lot of damage, I'd say go for the ender if you're mid-screen, but you could just do, like, whiff this first part of back 3-2, and then just hit that on the restand, so that they can actually just be restood. I'd say mid-screen, if you're not going to corner them with it, I'd say don't even go for it. Because the bad thing about his back 3-2, right, is that you can't actually get a follow-up with Shujinko. Like, it really sucks that you can't. You can do, like, a move steal right afterwards, and then it'll combo. However, the back 3-2 scaling is really bad. Let's just do, like, a 1-2 into this combo that I've been showing you. Let me show you the damage off this. Alright, that's 382 for a 1-2. Now if I do this... That was 351. The scaling on this move is really bad. So, like, 90% of the time, you want to try and get the back 3-2, like, as late as possible into the combo. Preferably the last thing you do. So that you can just kind of, like, restand them. And you can just apply pressure even more that way. Another random combo you can do, forward 1-4. It has a little bit of a pop-up property, and I think a lot of T-1000 players know that you can get an extension with this close one. And you can kind of just get, like, a pretty expected combo with that. Solid 36% if you land it. You could go for, like, one of these. It doesn't really do as much damage. The other version of it, though, I'd say, yeah, just go straight for the puddle punch right after. You do always, I kind of always have gotten used to doing, like, a really quick forward dash into this forward 2 crumple stun. Especially, like, because it has such long range that at max range, it won't actually hit at max range. So you kind of have to do, like, a quick, like, micro forward dash into crumple stun in order to actually hit it. It's going to take a little bit of time to actually get down in practice mode, so definitely practice doing that and try and get it consistently before actually trying it online. One more thing, if you do land, like, you have a mix-up right here, because that last hit hits overhead. So if they're, like, blocking high, and you land one of these instead, which is a low, you can actually combo this mid-screen if you do a down 3 into puddle punch. And you just kind of get an ender like this. And you get a solid 34% mid-screen. Trust me, it's going to get crazier in the corner, but speaking of corner combos, let's move on to those. Alright, we've made it to the corner. Corner pressure is... Oh my god, his corner pressure, I have found, is absolutely crazy. Let's move on to some simple stuff. So, the corner version, really, like, you could do this. And then you can just... it's the same combo. There's one thing you can do, actually, in the corner. It's a little tricky to time. You can get a double bounce and get, like, a little more damage for that. You can get, like, pretty much 46%. However, that's not actually the corner combo you want to go with when it comes to damage. When it comes to damage, you want to go straight into the crumple stun, get a double bounce right away, go into one of these. I'd say that's the easier version of it, just 46%. You could get a little bit more if instead of going for that restand after the double bounce, Kerblam, a little over 46%. It doesn't do that much more. It does like 8 damage more. It's a lot harder to land, I think. It's easier to drop at least, but I mean, it does do a tad bit more. Pretty much after any like crumple stun, especially if you land it at the very end. So like if you do just land, like let's say like you just kind of land one of these randomly, you kind of just go into crumple stun and then try and get the double bounce. It is the trick about it, right? Is you kind of have to do it when you're at like not peak height though. You can't do it if you do it like up here. At least if you do it like hold on, let me do the full combo. If you do it like from the very top of their head, you're not really going to be able to get that double bounce. You have to do it while you're like low to the ground. You could also do that accidentally. I've done that plenty of times. When you do it too low and then you just kind of like either drop it like that or you get like just a random like jump 4 in the stand 2. It's really annoying when you drop it like that, but I mean it does happen. So be wary of that. Try and get it consistently. Let's look at a few other things you can do in the corner is down back 3, right? You're not aiming this at all. I'm not doing like far version or close version. Like I'm doing just normal down back 3 medium. You don't have to aim it at all. And with this in the corner, it doesn't have to be a down 3. You can actually combo with 1-2. In fact, if you really want to be optimal, you can do a forward 1-3, which I'm just going to do 1-2 because frankly, doing the forward 2-3 is really tough. I'm actually surprised I got it first try. But it is more optimal to do the forward 1-3 if you are an optimal god. I am not, so I'm just going to do 1-2 for this demonstration. Pretty much just getting one of these combos. Alright, you can end it in a restand if you want to end it in damage. Do puddle punch. Alright, I messed it up. Puddle punch, Kerblam, restand, crumple stun. Now, you can get a double bounce there. I will say, it does use a lot of gravity, and it is pretty tough to land. You can do it for, like, a little bit more damage. See if I can get it first try. Hell yeah, first... Oh, well, almost. Okay, that forward 2 is a little tricky, but you can get double bounce. I just proved it. I'd say, honestly, this is not the thing you want to try and do, because, frankly, you can actually do some really cool corner pressure setups. And I think we're done with, like, the basic corner combos. I want to talk about the actual pressure. Okay, hold on. Before we talk about the pressure, one more thing. Back 2. And yes, you can get double bounce, but I'm just going to do single bounce just for this. It does over 40%. You're getting over 40% for that. Pretty sweet. I like it. Anyway, corner pressure, right? Yeah, you get... For mid-screen, you just kind of do forward 1, 3. And then you can just kind of end it, or like... That's going to be at mid-screen. Pretend like we're not in the corner. Sorry, I forgot to talk about the back too. But I'm really excited to talk about this corner pressure, alright? Alright, corner pressure, right? Alright, we're in the corner pressure. So... Let's say you get a hit, and you want to land like a quarter combo. Alright. So you land a crumple stun. You don't go for the double bounce. And that's it. Now, why would I do that? Why would I not do a double bounce? Well, if you do a double bounce, right? I'd say for damage-wise, it's really hard to get a restand after that. You could also just do like a restand like that, but I would say damage-wise for doing restand pressure, this is the best damage you're going to be getting. 38, pretty much almost 39% into a restand. And the reason I'm doing that into a Shujinko instead of just, you know, leaving it as it is, not only is to keep it as a restand, but as you can see your hit advantage down there in the bottom left, I got +6, which is okay. But if you hit Shujinko with it, it all of a sudden becomes 23. But Shujinko has +23 on his forward punch. His back kick doesn't actually, it only does 13, so it's not that, you might as well just go for the forward punch. And what's so good about this, right, is because you actually have a mix-up, like on reset. You can either do an overhead, you can do a low, you can also just do your throw. Like, you have a lot of options. I'd say the 2 combo starters are his overhead and his low. But what's really strong about this is that they cannot duck after this. Like, this is a guaranteed follow-up. So let's have Melina, real quickly, duck. She's ducking my highs. So if I did this into a standing 3, she would be able to duck it. If I do this, she is no longer able to duck it. And now I can keep the pressure going with that, because they're no longer able to duck. You get a guaranteed follow-up. The only thing they can do is really, like, armor in between, like, your gaps. And if you're expecting an armor at this point, like, you landed one of these. Or you could just do, like, a standing 3 and then block at that point. So if you're expecting armor, do a standing 3 block, or one of these block. If you're really expecting armor, you can try and bait it out. But either way, this is a guaranteed follow-up. And you can even go for a low after that, because like I said, that second hit is going to be... That second hit is going to be an... Or that third hit is going to be an overhead. So if you get them used to this overhead, right? You can go for a low, and then go for a corner combo here. Which in this case, you can just go... And then boom. Now they're restood, guaranteed follow-up. And after that follow-up, you could just go for anything you want. You can go for a low. I will say, if you start the combo with this low, you won't be able to get the follow-up anymore. But, I mean, you can still restand them. You just won't be able to get the Shujinko hit because... Fun fact. Let me show it off. Yeah, I was doing the input. You cannot do a special move twice with this restand. You can... The first time? Yeah, you can do it. It's easy. But I was trying to input a special move at that second time, but you cannot do a special move twice with his back 3-2. Which is the only, like, kind of downside to that back 3-2 is, like, if you started off with it, then you can't go for one of these at the very end with a crumple stun. You can only go for a normal restand. Which, a normal restand is already really good, but, like, with that Shujinko hit, oh my god, it becomes so much better. I think that'll actually do it for all the basic stuff with Shujinko and his crumple stun and all this crazy pressure you can get in the corner. I think we're finally ready to move on to move steals. God, it's been a little bit to talk about move steals. Damn, this is just a crazy character. I like him. All right, let's move on. All right, move stealing combos. So you got a basic pop up like Melina. Now there's a few routes you can take after this pop up. One, the easiest route and decent damage route you can just do this string again, puddle punch, forward 2, and then a crumble stun, basic ender. I'm having a hard time saying all the stuff that's happening on screen because it's all happening so damn fast. You're just doing this string again, the puddle punch, forward 2, crumble stun, and then a normal ender. And that does 47%. And Melina is like a really like mid, just like damage scaling. Like she's almost average. So that's depending on what the move steal is. You could either do a lot more or like a slight bit less. You're probably getting 45% like every touch when it comes to his move stealing. There's a slightly more optimal version you can do. It's a little harder, but bear with me here. Let's see if I can get a first try. Nope, did not get a first try. But basically, you're hitting a jump in. Forward 2, puddle punch. Crumble stun, there it is, second try. And then an ender, and that does like 15 more. So you are getting a 1.5% more. However, it's a lot trickier to land. It takes a lot more practice to do. I've kind of just grown accustomed to doing this basic one because it still does a lot of damage and is very easy to land. However, if you're near the corner, right? Like if you're kind of somewhere not in the corner enough to do a corner combo, but like you're near it, you can't go for one of these, and that usually does work. I'm just going to do it in the corner, pretend like I'm not in the corner. But then we push him over to the corner. I swear this works. Yeah, there it is. Okay, you can get 43% if you really wanted to. And you can just go for like a restand at that point and then pressure them again in the corner because his corner pressure is absolutely insane. Using a bar on T-1000, right? So a majority of the time, you're mainly just wanting to use it to switch sides. So, you know, if you're the one that's cornered and you get a hit, you can just use it to switch a side. I mean, you could always, doing this as well, perfectly reasonable, but I would recommend just doing it immediately off the bat and then just do like a normal corner combo at this point. You can do one of those for, you know, just applying all the corner pressure in the world, because why wouldn't you want to do that? You could also just cast out the damage. You can just do like this instead of going into restand. You can just kind of go into like puddle punch because you haven't used it yet, and then you can just end it with one of these for a little more damage. But that's something, that's some like good ways to use one of these. You could also use it after a move steal. And then see if I can get it for I got it. And instead of going for, you could have went for a crumple stun and then just gotten one of these as an ender. I really like going for like this, just like as an ender though. Like going for that punch or into restand it's always like crazy to do. Granted, in the corner it's easier to drop the back 3-2. But going for one of these is just, it's always going to be insane, because now you have access to just all sorts of deadly mix-ups once you're in the corner. So that's kind of how you want to use a bar with him, is kind of just only the side switch, and then like do some more setups into like some crazy restand mix-ups. And that's kind of how you want to use it. Alright, let's move on to some restanding. It's going to be exactly what you would expect. It's just going to be a restand into mid-screen, at least. It's going to be this into a normal combo. I mean, we're all here just to kind of see the damage though, so yep, 53% for that. That's pretty awesome. So pretty much after any restand, you just go for a 3-2-1 and do one of these normal kind of combos. That's kind of how most restands go, is you just kind of do the restand into like a basic, like one of your basic combos. So you're not getting any like bounce up move steal combos with it, you're just kind of getting that. However, in the corner, you can get some cool stuff with the side switch, though, for a bar. You do have to spend a bar on it, but, I mean, it's worth it. And then 50% into a restand. And that, yep, you can do stuff like that in the corner. At least if you're cornered, then, yeah, you can do that. 50% for spending a bar. It's awesome. I love it. All right, so one of the actual corner combos, though. Hi there, editing me from the future. I realized while editing this that the restand one, you don't actually need to spend a bar to, you know, get a side switch, like I just explained. There's actually another way you can do it. It does less damage, but if you don't have a bar, you could always just do standing 2-4 if you can actually land it. Forward dash into it, and that has so much hit stun that you can actually do that into a restand. if you wanted to. So, you know, just a quick thing right there. Yes, standing 2-4 does actually have so much hit stun that you can just side switch with that. It is the only string that you can do that with. So, you know, be careful about that. Into a restand. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Future me. Anyway, back to past me. Please continue explaining. Alright, actual corner combos, yeah. Exactly what you'd expect. Do one of these. I'm gonna go for a restand one. And I messed it up. Second tries to charm. Nope. Third tries to charm. Never said these combos were easy. Or did I? Yep, 54% into a restand. Alright, yep. And you just keep the pressure going on him. It's goddamn corner combos of this man are crazy. Nothing really else about just general restands, though, unfortunately. It's just, I mean, restands are all the same. You kind of just do it with a normal combo. Homelander move steal, if you do just, you know, send them out, there's some things you can do. One of the things, if you, like, land one of these, that's a mid, of course, but, I mean, if you kind of just do it, you can get an extension with this. And then I screwed it up, but I mean, it's not gonna be a lot of damage, but with Homelander, any pop-up you do is gonna be enough to really, you know, do anything with. I mean, you can do something like this too. To restand. I'm just kind of improvising here, but I'm still getting almost 40% for these, like, random stuff you can do. I know you can already kind of combo off this. But I mean, with the Homelander moves, you get a little bit more, you know, especially if you hit into it. In the corner, though, you can do some crazier stuff with it. Like, if you hit this, like, Wrath Hammer. If you do, yeah, you kind of have to time it. I haven't done it a little bit. So you just kind of get an ender here. I mean, that's pretty cool. You can get a Wrath Hammer, you can go for a low, and then also get into it. Pretty much anything you do, you're gonna be able to, like, combo from it. Okay, that doesn't restand. I haven't actually tried that one yet, but yeah, you can do it on ender there. Pretty much any hit is either this, that overhead, God forbid that input. Oh my god. But yes, that Wrath Hammer, this low, they're both gonna combo. And another cool thing, you can combo even in from this. I mean, I don't see why you would want to be honest. I mean, you can do a lot of other cooler stuff, but I mean, this is a cool way to, you know, extend your combo. But either way, that's a Homelander move set for you. You can just do some cool stuff with it. Do some cool combos, do some cool setups. And that's kind of how you want to use Homelander. Anyway, I think we're finally moving on from Homelander. Let's move on to something a little more unique. Ghostface. Now, Ghostface, if you've seen any of my other videos, has a really good move steal in the corner. And it's not going to be that complicated. He doesn't have any, like, good, I guess, special moves that leave him restanding. At least some of them are quick. He does have his gunshots. Now, his gunshots don't actually... There's not enough time. Like, if I tried to do like this, it would just kind of... I can't combo from that because this thing does have a timer. That's how long the timer is. And I can only do so much in that time. So the best way I found out is just to do another, like, stand 3, 2, 1. And then release, and then he's kind of stood there. And then you get, like, a normal corner combo. And if you don't mess it up, at least. Doink, doink. I'm not going to keep doing the damage. I mean, yeah, that's 55% into a restand, at least, which is already pretty goddamn good. Now, you can also do hard to blocks. Like, if you charge them up during that, and then instead of doing, like, this, you can always just go into this part. And then you get a hard to block. However, that second hit, you kind of have to do, like, do one of these. And then you go for an actual restand after that, because that's actually a hard to block, because this thing hits low. There we go. I mean, I'm already thinking, like, doing one of these into this is already enough, like, crazy mix-up pressure. I don't even think you need a hard to block, but I mean, if you want to do a hard to block, you have the option to do hard to blocks. Especially if you end the corner combo and you haven't already used his down back, hold down. Like, if you haven't already used that, then you can always like end a combo with this. And then you even get a better heart of block with that as well. And now you're doing overhead and a low at almost the same time. And it's like a full combo starter instead of the down forward down, which just kind of pops them up. So that's kind of how you can use Ghostface with T-1000. You get a really good art of luck if you do that setup correctly. You can already get a lot of damage on startup if you just start with it. I mean, it's already kind of kooky crazy. Let's move on. All right, now Reiko. Now, Reiko, pretty much get a throw whenever you want. It's a tick throw. You just go into it. And the only thing about this one, right, is that you can't get like a jump in 4-2 after it, which some of the other pop-ups you're able to. So this one you kind of have to do 3-2-1 into bounce, 4-2 crumble stone, and then ender. And you're still getting 40% combo. Like, it's still pretty good. You just have to hope that they don't duck it, I guess. Leave it into a restand if you really want to. Which I will say, in the corner, especially if you do this, like, if you end it in like a restand, and then just go straight for the throw, a really cheeky thing you can do, like not going into the Shujinko punch, because now you can't do it because Shujinko's out. So going straight into the restand, like right into the throw, can be a little cheeky thing to do. So that's always fun to do, and it pretty much acts as basically the same thing as like a back two corner combo. Once you get the throw, it's gonna be pretty much the same thing. So that's pretty much all I want to talk about on the Reiko. Just you can't get that jump in 4 with that pop up. You have to do 3-2-1. Anyway, moving on. All right, moving on to Geras. Geras is kind of underwhelming. The only thing you can really like, the best way to do it, honestly, is just 3-2-1 in the puddle punch. And normally, right? Like if you do like a puddle punch, try to do another puddle punch, it'll like pretty much knock him down. Like you can't really combo afterwards, but this is different. Like you can do another puddle punch after it, and it'll pop him up. Why? I'm not 100% sure why, but you're able to. So you're able to get some cool combos with that. That was 46, and I didn't even like do a starter. It just kind of did it raw like that. So that's kind of how you want to use Geras, a full combo. Depending on which version you want to use, you can just use this version if you want to. Yeah, 49%. You're getting almost 50% like when you hit a Geras. It's fun. It's awesome. And in the corner, yes, of course, it's just a normal pop-up, so you can just go for whatever crazy stuff you want to go for here. Whatever kind of ender you want. Leave it a restand. Do what you want. It's fun. I just want to show off max amount of damage you get in the corner, 52%. Yeah, sure, why not? That's cool. Doesn't end in a restand and everything like that, but I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's good okay damage, I guess. But that's pretty much it for Geras. Not too much with Geras other than he's kind of just do this, and then it in his time freeze, and that's kind of it. Pretty simple. Fun stuff. Anyway, moving on. Moving on to Takeda, and I know we're already at the last unique move steal, but that's because honestly, when it comes to things like Ermac or like Conan, there's nothing really unique you could do with them. Like Ermac, I can't actually find any double move steal combos you could do, which is unfortunate because double move steal combos with Ermac are kind of cool, but his combos don't really last long enough for you to actually charge up a full Shujinko before you can actually do that. And also, you can't do the restand into like Shujinko mid-screen, so that's also another thing. But anyway, we're moving on to Takeda. And mid-screen, you can actually land one of these. However, you can only land it with this move, I will say. Not even his like 1-2, but his 1-2-3. You can actually do it, but you cannot do another 1-2-3 afterwards. You have to do a forward 1-4. Yep, and then you can land a full combo after that. A solid 52%, and that actually is more damage than just doing like his full thing anyway. Like I don't know, you don't even want to go for that like pop up because it only does 46. Like I don't know why you'd ever want to use Takeda's pop up when his other move is just so much better. Like you could just get this. You get over 50% for that. I guess it would be because you'd want to maybe combo off of things like this, because you can't combo off of that in the corner. So I retract my last statement. That would be why you would want to use the other move steal, because 1, 2, 3 is the only one you can actually get this off of. There, I can't find any other strings that you can't actually do that. Like, everything else leaves them too frickin' far away. Okay, you just can't do it. But anyway, in the corner, of course, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could just land it twice in a row if you really wanted to. And you know what's a really cool thing about it is, I talk about his forward 1 having 23 frames of hit advantage, which is nice, but his standing 2-4 has 44, which is like, what is that, almost double? That's almost double. So if you land like in the corner, right, just a combo, and then just end it with that, you even have more hit advantage. Like, you do the restand into this, and then you can do it again if you wanted to, and then end it like that. You have so much hit, you have 44 frames with hit advantage. So if you're just looking for pressure and like hit advantage, like doing one of these, cancel, like you have enough frames to actually like bait this out and then cancel it and then just go for a throw or something. Like, that's how much hit advantage you have after this. And then you can just go for it if you wanted to, or you can just cancel it afterwards. Just go for whatever you want. Go for a low. You can even like bait it out and just do it again. Like, that actually catches people. Like, you do one of these at the end of like end of the combo. I actually messed up the cancel, but I mean, goddamn cancel. You do that after the end of it, and honestly, they'll probably fall for it. Like, they might think you're going for like a low or like a throw or something after they see you cancel it, and they just like instant go for it again, and then they'll fall for it. But of course, we are at Takeda move steal, so we're gonna have to end it with a big Takeda move steal combo. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, 65%. Yeah, that's fine. For that, I mean, it's not as much damage, but I mean, oh my god, still does a lot of damage. And you can charge them up for this too, and then one of these instead. You can get 64% into a standing 4-2, which is even better. Like, it's even better. So yeah, I think that is going to do it for T-1000. I think his pressure in the corner is probably one of the best. I mean, you have an unbelievable amount of mix-ups in the corner, mainly because of his standing 3-2-1 string that ends with an overhead. Also having access to this low that it can be a combo starter, which is kind of crazy. And just, oh my god, this guy, I didn't even talk about his throw. With Shujinko, unfortunately, you can't really do throw combos. I don't think I did it with Homelander move steal, but yeah, you can do it with a Homelander move steal easily. I think that's the only move steal you can really do that with. But yeah, this character's just crazy, especially with Shujinko, like in the corner. That's just endless pressure. It's unbelievable how much pressure you can get in the corner with this team. But that is going to do it for this video. Let's move on to the outro. So again, thank you all so much for sticking with it to the end. I appreciate you. And I really hope you learned something new about this character, learned some really fun combos. Go ahead and try them out yourself. I love to see some Shujinko players out there using with pretty much anyone, honestly. But yeah, this is a lot of fun making this video and learning this team. I really hope you'll take some inspiration. If you're not going to use Shujinko, at least, you know, take something from this video if you will. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.